Hello and welcome back to The Secret of My Success. I am your host, Erin Currin. This is the podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling life. So first, I would like to acknowledge that I disappeared for a month. I have been talking for the last several months about how exciting it is that I launched my podcast finally. So proud of myself for continuing to schedule conversations, to edit the video content, to be able to post it on YouTube and on my podcast platform. Really, it has been an extraordinary experience. I enjoyed all of the conversations that I had with all of my guests, even the ones that were a little bit uncomfortable in retrospect. Reviewing the recordings, I was thrilled, honestly, with how everything came out. That being said, so because I've expressed so many times how challenging it was for me to get to the place where I published in the first place, it was a tremendous undertaking to continue recording and editing and really creating powerfully. It was such a fantastic feeling and such a thrill, really, for me, that I was just overjoyed and excited and lit up by what I was able to accomplish. And there were weeks when it was challenging. I've recorded some videos along the way that I'm going to be releasing over time, so you can get a sense for how things kind of went behind the scenes and some of the ideas that I was confronting, some of the situations that I was dealing with from a technical and from a creative standpoint, and also from an internal standpoint, really being podcast host, really being content creator, really being the space of a consistent creator. Because man, I'll tell you, it takes something for sure. And then here's my view on how it went. So it was around the end of March. I had finished recording my 14th conversation, and a friend of mine asked me to speak at an event in Jacksonville. So I decided to go ahead and take the weekend off from the podcast and go speak up in Jax. And it was a fantastic experience. I had a blast. The group was amazing. My friends were really powerful, and it was just good. Well, also at the same time, I was dealing with my stepfather was in the process of passing. And it happened that right after that, at the end of March, beginning of April, his 93rd birthday, he went into hospice. So I had no idea how much all of that would impact and affect my process. I mean, he's 93. Well, he was 93. My mother passed 3 years ago, and he was really sad and lonely since she passed. And so we all knew it was coming, and it doesn't change how things go, you know? So for the month of April, even though I was still publishing content because I had already recorded it, I stopped creating. I stopped having the conversations. And it just sort of slowly went away. And I kept saying, well, I'll get back to it next week. I'll get back to it next week. And the time just kept passing and things just kept progressing. And at the beginning of May, he finally passed. And it was a whole nother world to have that release, but also to be in that experience with family members and connecting and clearing and all of the things that need to be done when, the head of a family makes his or her transition. And so it was another week and another week and another week. And I felt that it was right for me to take that time. Excuse me. I don't have to keep recording while I'm doing this. We'll see if I leave it in. Yeah. That's why we didn't go all the way with the makeup. Okay. Ooh, doggies. How are we doing? So, as I was saying, there was a lot going on. And it felt right to be taking the time and creating the space, because it felt like the podcast was really starting to settle in. And I was really owning that this is mine, that this is my creation. Because as I've mentioned before, this podcast has probably been 10 years in the making, even though I just started publishing a couple of months ago, the end of January, in fact. So, as I've been going through the month of May, I started speaking with a social media marketing person to talk about how to begin framing the YouTube videos and to begin framing the actual audio podcast recordings so that I can begin to gain some momentum. I mean, things have been doing pretty well. I've been averaging about 11 downloads on the audio, and I have 16 subscribers on YouTube. And for pretty much just having been dabbling and playing for 3 months, those are pretty good results. I'm pleased at any rate. And so now, as I'm coming out of this transitional phase, there have been a few things that have been going on because, as I've mentioned, I have been working a full-time job while I've been creating this podcast. I have been looking at where I want to take the podcast and how I want to move forward. How can I share with you, the viewer or the listener, what my experience is, not because I think that my story is that fascinating. I mean, for some people it is, for some people it's certainly not. But there may be 1 or 2 or 12 or 30 of you out there who have been holding off on creating your thing because you think you've got to have your shit all together, because you think you've got to wait until life is at that perfect place. You don't have to have your shit together. Life will never be at that perfect place. It's the saying about having your ducks in a row, and the ducks will never be in a row, or there's never a perfect time to have kids, or there's never a perfect time to do anything. The time to do that thing is when you declare that it's the time to do that thing. And the miracle of my experience has been that as I was pushing, and it wasn't really a push, as I was creating and as I was continuing to play and move pieces around and see what was working and what wasn't, and learning about microphones and platforms and cameras and lighting and studio setup and everything that it takes to be able to create the podcast on the level that I want to be able to deliver it to you. it has been just extraordinary because what I've needed has shown up exactly when I needed it, not a moment before and not a moment after. Just before I finished recording conversations at the end of March, I went through a little technoshima, this little technological shitstorm where stuff just stopped working. I had to buy a new laptop. I needed to get new microphones. Like, all of a sudden, everything just decided it needed to level up. And it was a little bit challenging, a little bit frustrating, but it was also really powerful and amazing because it all just fell in line and I found what I needed. That sounds like magic. I'll tell you, it's not. It is intention. It is dedication. It is focus. It's journaling. It's visualizing. It's praying. It's clearing your mind. It's doing all of those things that you need to do to be able to take all of the old garbage out and make space for all of the stuff that you want to create. Because as I've been doing the podcast, I practice Nichiren Buddhism. I've still been chanting Daimoku, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. I started doing Joe Dispenza meditations back in December, and I have been doing them probably an average of 5.5 to 6 times a week ever since December. I have been stepping up doing Buddhist activities, going to meetings and supporting members. I have been working on my health and well-being from a food standpoint, folding in the kind of program that I'd like to be on to manage my blood sugar, to reduce my weight, to begin to clear my head and feel better, adding in supplements, adding in water. I have been doing all of these things one little piece at a time over the course of the last 5-6 months. All of these things coming together are creating that version of me that is podcast host, that is coach, that is creator. It's all of the stuff that I've been trying for so many years to get out of the way. But the one thing that I found is when I just decided, now, it's been years in the making. And so when I decided that this was it was also because I had cleared out enough stuff that I had enough space to decide. And there are just certain things that have to be non-negotiable. If you pray, if you chant, if you journal, if you meditate, you have to decide that that is the most important part of your day. You have to make sure that you take care of the garden in order for the right plants to grow. If you don't care if weeds grow, then just letting anything go is going to work out fine for you. But if you want to move in a particular direction, then you need to understand what kind of plants, what kind of focus, what sort of state of being is going to contribute to that version of you. And it's really about paying attention. It's about observing the conversations you have with yourself. It's about listening to the way you treat yourself, seeing the places where you get stuck, making note of all of it, because it's not random. It's a repeated pattern over the course of your life, and this is your access. So, circling back, I decided that my podcast was non-negotiable. I could let go of social. I could let go of overtime at work. I could let go of so many things, watching movies, going shopping, whatever I thought I needed to do. I let go of all of it. I had lunch yesterday with somebody and we were joking because it's probably been 7 or 8 months since she and I hung out together. And, she understood that it was because I was in creation mode. And so, it's beautiful because we're reconnecting. So whoever is really with you will understand. And whoever is really not with you is going to get upset and freak out, and they're going to be mad, and they're going to tell you you're crazy. You've got to decide that you and your vision are far more important than any of that bullshit. Circling back, here I am, May 2024, 14 episodes published, one more episode that I recorded that I still haven't edited. I will be releasing it on Monday, June 3rd. This is the exciting part. The universe has conspired and aligned to give me the space to be able to take 1 year off of work to be able to focus on my podcast. I created that space. I determined that this was what I was going to do. I have been intentionally investing my time, energy, and effort in building my podcast, in building my coaching practice. And sometimes you got to let go of one thing to be able to grab onto the other. You can't steal second base if you don't let go of first. Now, I don't advocate you just go and quit your job tomorrow. There's a whole lot that goes into it. I've been planning, I've been strategizing, I've been structuring, I have a budget, I have a focus, I have a goal. And the one place that I have historically been unreliable is in scheduling for myself. This is the breakthrough that I get to create. I get to create a breakthrough in trust, to trust myself that I'm going to show up, to trust myself that I'm going to do the work. And I gave myself a taste of my commitment in the first 3 months of this year when I recorded 15 episodes and published 14 and did the work. I did the work no matter what. And so now I am looking at the opportunity to spend the next 12 months focusing entirely upon creating, promoting, and building my podcast, my coaching, and my passion. This is what my life has been coming to, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. So I wanted to make this video to acknowledge my absence for those of you who have been consistently paying attention. Also, for those of you who might be circling back and checking out some videos and see that there was a little bit of a gap and wonder why. Also, this video serves to tell you that it is possible. It is messy. It is wonky. It doesn't go the way you hope or the way you expect or the way that you think, but it always goes the way you need, because whatever it is you need to learn, for me to learn to trust myself and for me to learn to keep a schedule, whatever it is you need to learn, whatever it is you need to become to be able to do that thing or have that thing or be that thing that you are striving for and driving for. This is the lesson that the universe is trying to teach you. Because if I have had a habit for my entire life of spending every dime that I have ever earned, and then I win the lottery isn't going to help me. Not at all. Because I'm just going to spend it all. And I'll be just as broke as a joke at the end of whatever period of time it takes for me to just blow it all. Whether that's people taking it from me or buying stupid shit, renting a Lamborghini for the next, however long. But when I have appreciation for the goal, when I have gratitude for the opportunity to be able to create. When I am so invested in the journey and the vision, because I've already put so much of my heart and soul into it, then I'm going to be willing to do whatever it takes. And it takes us a little while to get to that point. Here's the other funny thing. Whatever it is you've been through in your life, whatever problems or drama or upset or challenges or whatever the pain and the suffering that you've endured, all of it is for a purpose. That sounds cold. That sounds wrong. But I tell you, it's true. Nothing in this universe is ever wasted. Everything serves a particular purpose, whether it's burning up old karma or it's setting you up to be someone who can solve a particular challenge in life. Women who have experienced human trafficking, then becoming educators and saviors, and people who train or who help people recover from this kind of an experience. Each of us lives through a particular experience to build us in a particular way so that we can then become a solution. We can become a boon. We can become a gift for other people who need to be able to connect with someone who gets their experience. Nothing is ever wasted. I promise you this. I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like I'm super excited that I'm stepping back into the river, and that I am coming back into the experience of the podcast, the joy of hearing these amazing stories from these beautiful people that I get to share with you, so you can see that you're not alone. To give you hope to be able to create a life that you love from wherever you are. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your faith, for your kindness, for your generosity, for the fact that you just haven't ever given up. So I look forward to connecting with you even more this year. And I would love to hear about your experience. So please share this podcast with the people in your life. Share your story with me. Let me know who you know that you think might be a good fit for these kind of conversations. What sort of a story would you like to hear? Because this is for you. I am Erin Currin. This is the secret of my success, exploring what it means to live a fulfilling life. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.